So, folks, sometimes when I'm prepping my show, I just see something that really stands out to me, and I I had to know what the content of the video that Michael Knowles put out titled "GOP launches a secret weapon on libs, Goth baddies," and you know. I unfortunately had this curiosity, and I now must inflict it all upon you.
Show is sometimes right. I teased this a little bit yesterday. I have to get to it. He has been saying for weeks now that I need to cover the rise of the goth baddie. I said, what are you talking about, the goth baddie? He was saying, no, Michael, my whole social media feed is just being inundated with really good looking goth girls. It's a social phenomenon. I said, no, that's a your feed phenomenon. I said, I don't know what kind of sick, perverted, freakish things you look up on your computer, but I'm not seeing that anywhere. I said, that's not a real trend. And it takes a big, handsome guy wearing a red, white, and blue plaid shirt to admit when he's wrong, because the new star GOP congressional candidate coming out of Colorado is, in fact, I think it's fair to say, nothing lecherous in the observation, she's a goth baddie. This is Kelly Dennison. She just won the Colorado 2nd congressional primary, and she is not your typical Republican, at least in the way she looks.
I'm dying inside.
Lol,
I'm just
I
dying
saw this
inside.
earlier too. This is some real clown shit. Please use this for bourbon. Or therapy bourbon.
I might need it for therapy, Bourbon Paladin. This is truly awful. Also, thank you for the 17 tier 1 subs, bringing us to 420 towards our goal. Thank you very much. But yeah, so this is the goth baddie that Michael Knowles is talking about, and can I just say that, of course, like any subgroup of people that you're talking about, you're gonna find conservatives who adopt the aesthetic, but that's not a goth baddie. And I know this because goths in general are cool and chill as fuck. And if you are somehow in that community and you actually hate gay people and you actually think that like LGBTQ people shouldn't have the right to exist or whatever, like you don't get traction in those settings. So like this is like somebody borrowed the aesthetic, but you'll never be truly goth, but because to be goth is a mindset. It's a mindset that includes fundamentally acceptance. Also, I'm seeing some people commenting that she's more of a scene girl, and that might be the case. Honestly, the eyebrow work is making the case.
She's a 27-year-old massage therapist. Her picture that is being posted around in the news reports of her victory was actually taken in front of St. Joseph Catholic Parish. Great signs. I was in Fort Collins this year. And she probably doesn't have a chance to win the race. I think the district is D plus 20 or something like that. But she won the primary. She has now won the hearts and minds, the fascination of at least many Republicans on the internet. And it made me have to contemplate whether or not Mr. Davies was seeing a trend and why it would be that a goth chick would be a conservative Republican. I've noticed this. I travel around the country, go to a lot of churches when I'm around the country, go to a lot of events, and I've noticed this. I did know, not on my social media feeds, but in real life, I have been noticing more and more goth girls, like the kind of thing you saw.
That's because like the early 2000s are coming back again. Like the 90s were back, and then the early 2000s are coming back. Like I grew up in like fundamentalist Christianity, all right? And like there were definitely some like edgy cool kids, whatever, who like adopted scene aesthetics or goth aesthetics in church. It's like a method of rebellion, but they still go to the church, like, so it's not like that big of a rebellion. But I don't know. Michael Knowles is being real weird about this.
In the late 90s, white makeup, dark hair, some piercings, black eyelashes, black clothing. I have been seeing them crop up more and more, and you would You would often imagine them being on the left or maybe even the radical left if they weren't totally politically apathetic. But I've been noticing them more and more on the right. And why is that? In a way, it makes perfect sense because the goth aesthetic rose out of the Victorian era. The best explanation I've heard for the rise of the goth aesthetic, which really took on prominence in America during the 80s, punk, post-punk, then Hot Topic kind of commercialized it. But it comes from the Victorian era because Queen Victoria spent a very, very long time mourning the death of her husband, Prince Albert. So she wore a lot of black, and that's what it draws on. And it draws.
I think what he's saying is that we're in late stage pick me, so you can't really make internet money as a blonde traddy. So some girls are trying to be big titty goth GF conservatives.
I mean, like it makes sense to me. Not from the way that Michael Knowles is talking about it, but from the perspective of the fact that, like, what were the big fetish icons of conservatives for, like, the last 15 years? Oh, like, trad wives, right? Well, now you're getting, like, slightly older Republicans coming in, and they're, like, or slightly younger Republicans coming in, and they're like, no. We weren't raised to want trad wives. We were raised to want big titty goth GFs. Like, that's what's happening here. It's not, it is literally the kind of parasitic way conservative fashion latches on to edgier movements and recycles it. You know, like that's what you're seeing here. It's kind of like how rural America is like 10 years behind the fashion of different metropolitan areas around the country. Like, yeah, but it's also a result of the fact that, like, what could kids buy for cheap at thrift stores in, like, the 80s? Oh, that's right, a bunch of like terribly old garments. Cool. And then they were able to dress up in black stuff. They were able to get it for cheap. A lot of people's cheapest clothes would have been their, like, funeral attire, you know? So a lot of black stuff was easy to come across. Like, it's not difficult to figure this out, to figure out the trajectory of this subculture.
Draws on other cultural influences from that era, from the 19th century. The Gothic novels, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The kind of culture that is about enchantment, the kind of culture that is about the supernatural, things that are a little uncanny, eerie, numinous, a little bit spooky. The kind of culture that takes religion seriously. What's interesting about the goth aesthetic is in the goth aesthetic, you could see someone wearing a pentagram or a crucifix, you know, totally opposite religious views, but nevertheless taking religion seriously, whether it be.
I can assure you that there are plenty of goths in the goth community who will wear crucifixes, not because they are religiously Christian, but because they view it as, like, you know, kind of funny compared with their aesthetic, you know?
In an occult and rather bad religious form, or in a good religious form, which is in the form of Christianity. I mean, even the word goth coming from Gothic, you know?
Yeah, it's ironic. It's a joke. It's like a big inside joke. Some people do upside down crosses, of course, but, like, some don't. Like, I've known people in the goth community to, like, get old rosaries to use as accessories. You know, like, it's not out of respect necessarily.
The Goths who sacked Rome, but then the great Gothic cathedrals, and then into the Gothic novels of the era. And I thought, you know, in a way, this makes perfect sense because we live in this world that has been so disenchanted. We live in this world where everything is so clinical, everything is mediated by technology, where everything seems so clinical, so scientific, so plain. Our longings, our desires, our hopes, and our dreams, they're all reduced to chemicals firing off in our brains or some other mechanical processes. And human beings realize that that doesn't really fully explain the world. It doesn't even come close.
I mean, it kind of does, though. Like, which parts do you think it doesn't explain?
It doesn't explain the most important things in the world.
Like?
And so I think we're living in an era, this is...
Wait, like what?
also why you're seeing a big return to religion, and especially the more sacramental and traditional forms of religion, the liturgical kind of religion, the smells and bells kind of religion. You're seeing people recognize that we know that the world really is enchanted, and we need to re-enchant ourselves.
Ah, yes. Don't worry, guys. Science doesn't explain everything, because you need to recognize the enchantments of the world and the enchantments of your own body and mortal flesh. Like, dog, this sounds really weird. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds weird as hell.
With it, we're living post stupid new atheism. We're now in a world where we start to take religion and spiritual matters seriously. Even those Gothic novels, they're very romantic. It coincides with the Romantic era. And we live in a world where we're told we're just supposed to have, clinical partnerships with our, I'm going to propose a marriage to my partner because we're really good. We help each other, and we're all going to just like do the dishes, and we're going to be exactly co-equals, undifferentiated. And it's just like so lame.
Being an equal to your partner is lame. Like this guy's over here being like, two people being married, both being willing to do work around the house? Impossible. Couldn't ever happen. It's a bastardization of everything it means to get married. Like, are you joking, sir? What was that voice making fun of exactly? Healthy marriages where you and your partner love each other and are willing to sacrifice and do things for one another in an equal kind of fashion? Oh no, the horror. The horror of both loving each other and putting one another first. What the terrible fate. This absolute wiener. This guy is an absolute wiener. It's true.
Yes, Daddy.
Sometimes I wish the elderly would just die.
Essentially his morals.
And we want romance. We want to be that couple climbing up the Empire State Building, taking a knee and proposing on top of a needle above New York City. So we are living at a time. Maybe I'm
wait. No, you don't. You don't want that. You explicitly dislike people breaking laws, specifically property crimes. Y'all fucking hate that.
Reading too deeply into this congressional primary candidate, but I don't think I am. I think it's indicative of a broader trend. We're in a time that calls for enchantment and romance and religion. We are in an age that calls for the return of the Goth baddie, and the Goth baddie will not be on the left. The Goth baddie will be on the side that is looking for a return of those things, and that is conservatives and Republicans generally. Okay, now.
Yes. Exactly. We must of course herald the return of the Goth baddie. However, I would like to remind Michael Knowles of a little fact that he forgot. After he earlier brought up the existence of the Visigoths, the Goths who showed up, and the Goths who helped fell Rome. Perhaps the Goth baddies that are arriving are but the harbingers of our doom. The end of American Empire. The Goth baddies, they bring it in their wake. You can't take our Goth baddies, they take you, exactly. The Goth baddies will destroy America, is what Michael Knowles values most of all. What a freeze frame for this guy. Jack Goth cosplay when? I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. I want to do some kind of cosplay soon. It's been a while since I did a silly outfit. Anyway, all that being said, folks, Michael Knowles is a silly little Billy, and he's out here trying to tell women that, like, you should just work through your, when your lady bits hurt, you should just, like, work through the pain. Women entering the workforce was a mistake. Like, when he makes those arguments, he's silly as fuck too. But, like, this is genuinely insane.
In Soviet USA, Goth baddies rule you.
He's literally out here talking about how Goth baddies are actually conservative now, because one guy he knows was talking to him about that, and then, like, a lady with dark eyelashes won a primary in Colorado. That's the evidence? It's very stupid. It's very stupid. Michael, no less indeed. All right. God, I'm getting like black pilled on all of the unreality being spun by the conservative movement right now. Also, folks, if you got anything out of that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Goths versus Visigoths, which had the baddest baddies of them all. Also, just have to say, like, part of what makes Goths attractive is that they would never hang out with bigots. That's like a key component of being a baddie, not being a racist sack of shit. You know? Like, you can be as, like, physically attractive as you want, but if you are, like, a card-carrying member of the KKK, like, instantly you become one of the ugliest people I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. Just kind of seems that by definition, goth baddies cannot be MAGA. Not true. I've seen legit wife-beating racists get girlfriends. They're not attractive. They're not attractive girlfriends. Because they're also horrible racists. That kind of precludes attractiveness in my book. All right, folks. Anyway, get organized, join your local Dems, join your local DSA, and last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Go check it out. Link down in the description. It's non-tucking lingerie.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, Bane, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.